Welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. My name is Hussein. Happy to be with you. Happy to be with me. Scarlet, riding the beast. You know what? These are three goddesses of the Arabian Peninsula that they used to worship. They call them the daughters of Allah. One is Alat, and her name, Alat, is actually the feminine of Allah. Alat was like the feminine of Allah, so there's a feminine Allah. And so when it says he didn't have a girlfriend, I don't know, but well, actually, this is his daughter. Okay, so there's Alat, then Al-Uzza, and interestingly, that Muhammad's forefathers, some of them had the name Abd al-Uzza, which means that they used to worship this one in the middle, al-Uzza. And then the last one is Manette. And I doubt she dressed like that if she was a real goddess, but Alat al-Uzza al-Manette. So those are the three daughters of Allah, and they are, what is so interesting about them is that there's so much overlap, in the different mythologies. Most of the religions, this is what some people believe, that all the religions started at the Tower of Babel. Most of the big ones, they started at the Tower of Babel. And at the Tower of Babel, they came up, Mystery Babylon. Somebody mentioned Mystery Babylon. Well, that was the mother of harlots and the mother of fake religions. And there they said, let us build a tower to reach heaven. And I don't think they meant literally that they're going to reach heaven. Some people think maybe they were building a tower in case there was another flood. They'd be able to go higher than the flood. Some people thought that. Some people thought it was a astrology place where they would study the stars and not astronomy, but astrology. And so there's a lot of different theories about what happened at the Tower of Babel. Maybe that's why Allah's daughters, the woman in scarlet riding the beast, is in a number of religions. And obviously we see that imagery in Revelation, not a woman to be revered for sure. Yeah, and that it's similar to the Greeks. The Greeks had their pantheon of female goddesses, the big Aphrodite. They had Diana, very big in Revelation, Book of Acts, chapter 19. There's also Hera, Juno. There's many goddesses in the Greek and Roman. The Romans didn't actually have their own pantheon of fake gods. They just took the Greek gods and gave them new names. So that instead of Zeus, they had Jupiter. Instead of Aphrodite, they had Venus. Instead of Juno, they had Hera. Instead of Hermes, they had Mercury. Instead of Diana? Diana was what was her name? Artemis. I think Diana was Artemis. There's also the one that's on the California seal is Minerva. Minerva is on the seal of California, which happens to be a transgender goddess. Yes, Minerva is a cross-dressing. She's a woman, but she dresses like a man. Islam is super. Yo, boy, yeah, so simple. Yo, boy, yeah. Are you a Muslim? Are you the Pakistani guy who's always causing issues? If you're a Muslim and you'd like to come up, we welcome you. If you're not that wicked one who was here yesterday, if you're a Muslim, you'd like to come up, welcome. I'd really like to ask you, Islam is your identity. I'd really like to ask you, Pakistani, but I'm not the one who caused issues. Okay, well, it seems like you speak English good. I have an actual question because we're talking about something tonight. Um, and it's in so many different sources, gods of the nations. You know what? I really think they're all fallen angels and demons. Absolutely. Okay. It says, I still remember when the gods of the nations are fallen. They're all. That's what the apostle. That's what it says in the Bible. That's what it says up in the Bible. It says that the idols are nothing. They're just a bunch of rocks, but behind them are demons. And so Diana is very similar to Islam, you guys. Diana, if you look in Acts chapter 19, first of all, they had a meteorite that fell from heaven that they all worship. And when they felt threatened, what did they start saying? They said, Dayan, hu akbar, Dayan, hi akbar, Dayan, hi akbar. It's almost like saying that, they say, great is Diana, great is Diana, which is probably, if it was Arabic, they would say, Diana, hi akbar. And they caused a riot. Very Islamic. So um, come up, Islam is your identity. Come up. I put the link here for you, man, so that you could come up. Okay, this is the link right here. Just push on it and come on up. Because I really do have a question for you. As Muslims are jinns who have dominion, but you believe that jinns are Muslims, right? Muhammad said that he was commanded by a jinn, right? You believe that Muhammad was commanded by a jinn, right? As Muslims would believe, all false gods are jinns who have dominion of the world. But Muhammad was commanded by a jinn, right? You do believe that, right? Because Muhammad said that there was a jinn that used to command him. Okay, if you want me to show it to you, I'll show it to you. This isn't our topic, but I'm willing to. Okay. Okay, here's a hadith where Muhammad says that he is commanded by a demon. There is a demon that commands Muhammad. Okay, it says here there is Ibn Mas'ud. $5, you guys. Who can tell me who Ibn Mas'ud? What Ibn Mas'ud witnessed? Okay, give you a hint. It has something to do with Hollywood circles, not squares. Okay. Ibn Mas'ud reported Muhammad is saying, there is none of you who does not have a partner from among the jinn, and the partner from among the angels put in charge of him. The hearer said, does this apply to you, messenger? He said, yes, it applies. But God has helped me against him, and he has accepted Islam. So this demon, the Muhammad's demon, became a Muslim. So he commands me to do only what is good. So Muhammad is saying here that he was commanded by a demon. And this is a Sahih hadith. So there was a demon, a jinn that was commanding Muhammad. He here is saying this, that this is the thing that was commanding him was a demon. Do you believe that Islam is your identity? That Muhammad was being commanded by a Hussein? We don't believe some are evil jinns. Well, as Christians, we believe that the demons are fallen angels. The demons are fallen angels. They were angels like Satan, and like Satan, they fell and they are evil. And there is only that all of them are evil, and but they can make themselves appear good. They can make themselves appear good, and so and that's what happened to Muhammad. Very sadly, he he accepted um, he believed, Muhammad knew that what came to him in the cave of Hira, he said lamasani jinn, in Arabic lamasani jinn, meaning that a demon touched him. Muhammad said that. He said that a demon touched him. And so Muhammad knew it was a demon, but his wife Khadija, she convinced him that it was an angel. Okay, but he knew, and who knows better, you know, the prophet of Allah who was there in the cave with the thing, or his wife, a woman who is, according to Muhammad, half brain. According to Muhammad, women have half a brain. And so whose testimony is more acceptable, Muhammad's or his wife? He said lamessani jinn. He says a demon. I was touched by a devil. He knew it. He knew what it was. And so what are you going to believe? You're going to believe Muhammad, or are you going to believe his wife, who like, according to Islam, she's half brained, so that's up to you. But Muhammad said a demon touched him. So anyway, and here Muhammad is saying that there's a demon that's commanding him. There's a demon that's commanding him. And he says, "Ma tu'murni." I mean, this thing is commanding him what to do. And Muhammad is very clear that thing used to come to him all the time. One time he was taking a bath, and then that thing came to him and told him to go kill the Jewish tribe of Quraysh. So sorry, you guys, it's taking me a second here. Everything was taking me a minute here to go get everything here. Okay. Okay, let me just let me make a copy of this here, and I'll show it to you guys. It's from my brother, Truth Defender. Okay. Okay, let me go here. Let me bring this up. Sorry, guys, I'm taking too long with this. Here. Almost here. Okay. Okay. Let me just. Okay. It says, Aisha, wife of Allah's apostle, reported, thereupon Allah's messenger says, it was your devil who had come to you. She said, is there along with me a devil? He said, yes. He said, is a devil attached to everyone? He said, yes. Aisha said again, Allah is one with you? And he said, yes. Sahih hadith, Muhammad had a little devil following him. And in another hadith, he clarifies that thing used to command him. So he's being commanded by a devil. Okay. Let's see what. In the Bible, the prophet Daniel was scared when he encountered an angel. It doesn't say he thought it was a demon. It doesn't say he thought it was a demon. And that thing told him, the angel told him not to be afraid. And yes, they are awesome. The angels are awesome. They're bigger than us, and they're powerful than us. And so they're very powerful. So it would be frightening to see one in his glory, and that angel was in his glory. He was standing on the earth and on the land, on the sea. A very powerful angel that was. So, but with Muhammad, he didn't really see the thing. He thought it was a devil, and the thing almost killed him. The thing almost killed him. And when it used to come on him, too, Islam is my name. When it used to come on him, you know what used to happen to Muhammad? Do you know what used to happen to Muhammad when that thing would come on him? Because it was like it would possess him. It was like it would possess him. That's when they say the wahi came. The wahi, I don't know if you speak Arabic. The wahi is the inspiration. And how did that, when that thing came on him, you know what used to happen to him? He would start shaking real bad. His face would turn red like a turnip. And he would start snorting like a camel. He would start snorting like a camel. I mean, it's just like a movie, The Exorcist, like when a demon possessed man, or girl, like in The Exorcist. So that's what would happen to Muhammad. And the people around him knew. The people around him knew. They used to say, hey, has your Satan left you? They knew it was a Satan. And so you should come up. Islam is your identity. And but let's see the big time when Satan possessed Muhammad and actually got Muhammad to speak Satan's words. Okay, now if we look, if you were a man, you go to Balboa. I'd love to debate him. If you can get him to come debate me, he's afraid of me. One reason why he's afraid of me, and I don't blame him for being afraid of me. I just want to say I don't blame him for being afraid of me. He should be afraid of me, but one of the reasons is because he tries to talk Arabic, and his Arabic is so pathetic, it's so laughable. Okay. And so anyway, him, Warner, all of those, I've talked to them. And, I did not speak. I'll be honest, I don't think I spoke to him personally. I went to Balboa Park. I was there, and I got to witness to a bunch of guys there, Muslims, but I did not actually speak to him. Okay, I did not actually speak to him. So, but I'd love to go speak to him. So if you can arrange it, if you go get him right now, if he's your friend, tell him to come here right now and embarrass me. Okay. So if you can get him to come up, let him come up right now. I'd love to have him. I'd love to debate him. So, but anyway, let me go ahead and, like I said, let me just put this again. Islam is my identity. If you want to come up, here's the link. You're welcome to come up. And here's the link. Just push on it and you're welcome to come up. Okay, let's look, you guys, at the Satanic verses. This is a very weird story, and we've talked about it so many times. And let's look at the origin. Where does this story? You know what? Muslims would like to pretend this didn't happen, except that you can find it in over 200 Islamic sources, and it could have been forgotten. It could have been forgotten, and just say, okay, this is just a crazy story. It's just a crazy story. Let's forget about it. Except for the fact that they went and put it in the Quran. And because they put it in the Quran, it's forever a story that is going to be talked about. And it says in Arabic, I'm just going to translate the Arabic just because the English is usually so bad. The translation, it says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلَكَ مِنْ رَسُولٍ وَلَا نَبِيٍّ. Is Allah saying to Muhammad, we never sent a messenger or a prophet before you. إِلَّا إِذَا تَمَنَّى. except that when he desired, tamanna means to desire something. Alqa ish-shaytan fi umniyatu. That Satan literally casts something into his umniyatu, like his desire. Okay, and so Satan gets involved and puts something in his desire. And in this case, Muhammad wanted his people to become Muslims. They didn't want nothing to do with him. And he was so desperate for his people to accept his religion that he made a deal with the devil. Muhammad made a deal with the devil. He had already made the deal with the devil, but his original devil had a different name. But now it's blatantly the devil. It's Satan himself. And Muhammad made a deal with the devil, you guys. Yeah. Muhammad made a deal with the devil, and he sold his soul to Satan. I think he did that long ago, but right here, he knew what he was doing. And everyone else did too. And alqa shaitan fi umniyatu. Satan threw something into his desire. But then look what it says. Fayunsich Allah ma yulki ish-shaitan. Allah abrogates what Satan casts in. Now, abrogate means that there was something in the Quran. There was something written, because abrogate means that it's erased or deleted, meaning it was in the Quran. Allah abrogates what Satan cast in. And then look, ثُمَّ يُحْكُمْ Allah ayatu. That way, Allah's in control of his verses, meaning he's talking about verses. There's something that Satan came and put in the Quran, according to this verse, that Allah had to come and erase. Okay? And so, Islam is my identity. Islam is my identity. Did you know that Satan, you are the same. Yeah, we know who you are. Did you know that your prophet, made a deal with the devil? That he sold his soul to Satan. And let's look at what the Islamic scholars, that's kind of what I want to do today. Is I want to look at the Islamic scholars and see what they have to say about this, because the Islamic scholars, and you guys, these are Islamic scholars, not the ones that we usually talk about. Okay, we usually talk about Ibn Kathir, Jalalain. Those are the big ones that are translated into English. But there's a bunch of them that are not translated into English yet. And but so I went and got some of them, and and then I took what they wrote and I translated it into English. And so we're going to look at what some of the top Islamic scholars say about what happened to Muhammad. Okay, and there's only there's some of the top Islamic scholars. These are the ones that have not yet been translated into English. Some of them have, but most of them have not been translated into English yet. So let's just look at what some of them say, okay? Okay, this one, all right. Okay, this is a guy named Baydawi. This is Baydawi. He's a huge Islamic scholar. And he is very, I don't know if his stuff has been translated into English. You know what? To tell the truth, I think this guy did a debate with Reza Safa, the Persian. He's on the Persian TBN. It's called Najat TV. And Reza Safa actually did a debate with this guy. So I think this guy may still be alive. He's in Tulsa or something. So He's the one that did this. And so let's just look. Okay, let's see some of what he says here. Okay. All right. Now that he quotes the verse here that about Muhammad, that whenever a prophet comes and he desires something outside of God's will, Satan puts lies in his mouth. Okay, and apparently there were 124,000 of these prophets, and apparently nobody knows who they are. They didn't leave books. Nobody knows their names. The Quran tells you about the ants. It tells you what the ants say to each other, how ants talk. Now, the Quran tells you that. He tells you the quotes of the ants before they're squished by Solomon. But it does not tell you. It tells you there's 124,000 of these prophets, but it doesn't tell you the name of any of them. So nobody has a clue what country they were sent to, what book they wrote, what their message. Okay, but anyway, 124,000. And so anyway, so they all apparently, because Muhammad did this, Muhammad brought all of them down to his level. And so the Muhammad says, and indeed my heart becomes colluded, so I seek forgiveness from Allah 70 times a day. As Muhammad said, okay, I want to see the actual event here, because he talked about it was said, okay, here, talking about Muhammad, it says, it was said that he thought to himself about the removal of his poverty. So this verse was revealed. It was said that he wished out of his eagerness for his people to believe that something would be revealed to him and would bring them closer to him. So he wants something to get the people to like him. This continued until he was in their gathering, and Surah An-Najm, the Surah of the star, was revealed to him. He began to recite it, and when he reached Manat the third, okay, because this is what he said. He says, have you considered Alat, the three goddesses of the Mecca, Qurayshis, Alat, Al-Uzza, Al-Manat, the third? When he reached that, Satan whispered to him until his tongue slipped inadvertently, until he said, wow, Satan had so much power over him. Satan whispered to him to where he controlled his tongue. Yapaye. And you want to follow this guy? This is one of your top scholars, Al-Baydawi. It says his tongue slipped inadvertently. The fact that he says inadvertently there, I think that's worse, because it means he wasn't in control of himself. All Satan had to do was whisper to him, and he gained control of Muhammad's tongue. Yopaye. Step one, Muhammad didn't know the difference between Allah's voice and Satan's voice. But of course, Allah never spoke to Muhammad. He spoke to Satan. He spoke to Isa. He spoke to Musa. He spoke to Ibrahim. He spoke to Adam. But he did not speak to Muhammad. So Muhammad would not have known his God's voice. And he definitely wasn't, unfortunately, not one of Jesus's sheep, because Jesus said, my sheep know my voice. Muhammad didn't know his voice, unfortunately. He's led the big part of the world to hell because of that, because he allowed Satan to use him. And when Satan whispered, he didn't recognize the voice, but he obeyed it. He said he was commanded by this thing. Yeah, but he reached Manatee. Satan whispered to him until his tongue slipped inadvertently. Yeah, boy, it was like a remote control. Satan just whispered. It was like a remote control, and he controlled Muhammad's tongue. Yeah, boy, you want to follow this guy into eternity? Satan took control of his tongue, made him say something. This is before AI, guys. This is before remote control TVs. This is before remote control drones. Satan, look at the, I mean, the way he describes it is just, Satan whispered to him until his tongue slipped. Look like inadvertently. I mean, it's not like inadvertently means Muhammad wasn't in control. He was controlled. He wasn't in control. He was controlled till he said. That means something controlled his mouth. Satan controlled his mouth. You know, Jesus says, the prince of this world comes, but he has nothing in me. Jesus said Satan had nothing in him. Nothing. He had something in Muhammad. He had a remote control apparatus. You know, the remote control, there's two parts of there's the joystick or the thing that controls it, and then there's an apparatus inside the thing that's being controlled. And the remote control is somebody's controlling it, but there's an apparatus inside the instrument, the drone or the TV or whatever that's being controlled. And Satan had that apparatus in Muhammad to where he could control him by whispering to him and take control of his tongue. Those, his tongue slipped inadvertently. I tell you what, that word inadvertently, maybe they're trying to soften the blow of what happened here. But that makes it worse because it means that Muhammad was so weak that he was controlled. His tongue was controlled. Until he said, those are the exalted cranes. الغرانيك العلا. الغرانيك العلا in Arabic. الغرانيك. The exalted cranes. You know, and what they believed is that when people prayed, these cranes would take people's prayers up to Allah. You know, much like some people think that they expect some intercessor to intercede for them between them and Jesus. These cranes supposedly would take Allah, people's prayers up to Allah. And since they're the daughters of Allah, Allah is very attentive to them because they're his daughters. Even though Allah in the Quran says he doesn't like daughters. He thinks it's an insult that people attribute daughters to him. Because he, it's like you let people have sons and I just get daughters. That's how he says it. It's because it was Muhammad. That's because this is Muhammad talking. And so those are the exalted cranes. And here's the devastating words he said. And their intercession is hoped for. Muhammad had a habit of doing this, you guys. Wherever he'd go, he'd take something from whatever group he was trying to influence. He went to the Jews in Medina. What did he take from them? Number one, he took from them the fact that they should pray in the direction of Jerusalem. The Jews were already doing that. Muhammad copied them and said, see, I'm your prophet. See, we're praying in the direction of Jerusalem. Okay. He took from the Jews the washing of the hands and the feet, the cleaning before you pray. They took from the Jews when he mentions his God, he mentions him with a plural pronoun, we. He took so many stories from the Jews about Adam, about Job, about Cain and Abel, even though he didn't know their names, about David, about Moses. He took all this. He took so much from the Jews. He spent so much time with them that he took not that much, to be honest, because Muhammad came to Medina, and 5 years later there were no more Jews in Medina. 5 years later there were no more Jews in Medina. Medina means city, like New York City. Let's see how long the Jews last in New York City. Because Mamdani compared himself to Muhammad, kind of like that, coming as the immigrant. Okay, but anyway, so and he took from the Sabians. He took their fasting Ramadan. He took that from the Sabians. He took from the Zoroastrians, the Jannah with all the virgins up there. That's from the Zoroastrians. He took from the Hubals, from the Hindus, the Kaaba, and the circumambulating the black rock and kissing it and going around it naked. All that he took from the Hindu practices at the Kaaba. So he took stuff from everybody. And here he was taking something from the Qurayshi, his relatives, their three goddesses. But here, one of the most respected Islamic scholars, who I think he may still be alive, he says, Satan whispered to him until his tongue slipped inadvertently, until he said, meaning these are remote controlled, those are the exalted cranes. Shafa'athum targhab. Their intercession is hoped for. Then Gabriel, it's not Gabriel, it's Jibreel, alerted him, and he was saddened by this. So Allah consoled them with the virginity of Muhammad. So it happened to all the prophets. Okay. Look at some of the crazy things they're saying here. To make Muhammad feel better, you guys. Okay. It has been said that he wished to recite, as in this verse, he wished for the book of God on the first night, as David wished for the Psalms upon the messengers. His wish was to recite it. Satan's influence on him was to speak it aloud, raising his voice so that the listeners thought it was the prophet's recitation. So he brought David into it. He's trying to bring everybody down. So that's Big Dawah, you guys. Yeah, boy, yay. I'm going to close this. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. Islam is your identity still? Really? When you see what your prophet did, lately we Muslims have been growing in Japan. Oh, and Japan has been taking care of some of the Muslims who've gone there. Did you see what Japan does to the Muslims who go there and molest their girls? Go watch. Go see what they're doing to the Muslims there. Okay. What's your opinion, Hussein? We as Muslims are feeling strong, growing in numbers. Our mosques are so full. You know what I hope happens? Islam is your identity. I hope that you guys get saved. I hope you guys get saved. Just because sometimes, you guys are a little obnoxious and you make people mad. You go block the streets with your prayers. You start forcing, you know, uh, your ways upon others, your Sharia. You want them to be Sharia compliant. And so, I do believe that the Western world is being punished. And I believe God is using you, Muslims, to punish the Western world for their disobedience to Jesus Christ. They're turning away from God. I do believe that God's using you to punish the Western world for their turning away from God. Okay. And like God used Babylon to punish the Israelites, the tribe of Judah. Okay. So, but you didn't see what the Japanese police are doing to the Muslim. There's a Muslim guy, Sudani guy molested a girl, and boy, don't watch the video if you don't have a strong stomach, because I tell you what, the Japanese aren't going to put up with it. If these guys come start molesting their daughters and stuff like that. And I'm not making a blanket statement about. I'm not saying this about Muslims. I'm just saying that in Japan they're very cautious about their daughters, and so it's not our fault. Our mosques are unlike you. Uh, you know, I'm not going to argue with you about as a Christian. I'm ashamed of how weak and how sometimes we've compromised and turned away from our Lord. I'm not going to defend, what we've done, but we still have the truth, and you have a lie. We serve the true and living God, and you serve a fake God. And so, like me, I was a Muslim. I was like you. I was a Muslim too, and I came here part of the, you know, part of actually my dad just came here just because he wanted a job, and I know lots of Muslims are like that. They're here just for the job, but then when they get here, sometimes they get connected to these mosques that want to impose Sharia law on America, that want to bring Sharia law. And if they bring Sharia law, I'm a dead man. If Sharia law comes like they're trying to do in Texas, and the Democrats, of course, the Democrats are the Islamic party, the party of Islam, whereas the Republicans are more the party of Christianity. And not they're not perfect, but definitely better than the Democrats. But they're trying to bring Sharia law. And I know, because I used to hear it. I used to hear it years ago. I was hearing it because I lived there. I heard what people were saying, and they were talking about they want to bring Sharia law to America. It is the dream, and some of the sheikhs are very honest, and they say, we want Sharia law for America, and so that is the desire. But the thing about it is that Moses's serpent, Moses had his stick. He threw down his stick, and it turned into a snake. Well, there was a counterfeit of that, like Islam is a counterfeit of truth. And the magicians of Pharaoh threw down their sticks, but Moses's serpent swallowed the magician's serpent. And so And there's like a Elijah with Hubal, Baal, Hua Baal, he is Baal, who I believe is Allah, that Allah really is Baal, that there was a confrontation between Elijah, the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, versus the God Allah or Baal. So there's the God of Abraham on one side, and then there's Allah on the other side, or Baal, excuse me. And when there was a confrontation, the God who answered by fire was the God of Abraham, whereas the fake God didn't do nothing. Okay, so our God is a powerful God. He's alive, unlike Allah. So anyway, let's go back to our see Muhammad being remote controlled into saying things. Okay, here, this is another translation here. Okay, and this one, I believe this is Al-Baghawi. Al-Baghawi. Okay, Al-Baghawi, guys, is the guy who trained Ibn Kathir. Everybody knows Ibn Kathir. Well, Al-Baghawi was the guy who trained Ibn Kathir. Okay, so let's see what he has to say about this. Okay. Okay, here it says, Satan cast into his recitation, meaning his reading. They said he, Muhammad, was in his people's gathering reciting Surat al-Nijm, the star. When he reached the verse, and Manat, the other three, meaning Alat al Manat, the words, now look at the way he says it here. Those are the exalted cranes, and their intercession is to be hoped for, slipped from his tongue. He did not realize it until divine protection came to him. Where was the divine protection when he needed it? This divine protection, man. Muhammad's always got this divine protection that is just a few minutes late. It's always a few minutes late. Remember when he was eating the leg of lamb and it had poison in it? And after he already put it in his mouth, the thing talked to him. The divine protection talked to him. But it was just 5 seconds late. And for the rest of his next 3 years, he suffered a miserable, miserable death. He could barely walk because of the poison, and his aorta being cut because of the poison that he ate at Khaybar. So there was the divine protection, but it was just a few minutes late. It was a few minutes late. Okay. And here again, a few minutes late. A few minutes late. The divine protection came to him. But it was a few minutes late. A few minutes too. Why wasn't the divine protection there to protect him when he needed protection? The divine protection came when he didn't need it. It's like, you need, like you're out in the rain, you need an umbrella to keep you from the rain. And then it's like you get inside the house and you're all wet because you didn't have an umbrella, and you get inside the house, and when you get in the house, they tell you, oh, the protection is on you so you won't get wet. You're already wet. You're already wet. You needed divine protection out in the rain. When he was out in the rain, there was no divine protection. And after he made the biggest mistake of his life, one of the biggest, then the divine protection came. Afterwards, after he flubbed up, the divine protection came. And he became aware. He wasn't aware. Satan just remote controlled his mouth to worship the goddesses of the Qurayshis. It was also said that Gabriel alerted him. Okay, even Gabriel, you guys, even Muhammad's fake Gabriel, his Jibreel, was late. Where was he when he was needed? Yay, why wasn't Jibreel there whispering in his other ear or something? Why did they allow Satan to remote control his mouth to say the words that ended up in the Quran? Why? Jibreel was late. Allah was late. The divine protection was late. This, okay, Gabriel alerted him and he informed them that it was from Satan. This statement is unsatisfactory because it's not without its problems. No, the whole thing is its problems. Islam is its problem. Either Muhammad uttered it intentionally, which is impermissible because it constitutes disbelief, and because he was sent to denounce idols, not praise them. Or Satan forced it upon him to the point that he could not refuse it, which is impossible because Satan cannot do so with anyone else. As God's Almighty says, my servants, you have no authority over them. Quran is Surah Al-Isra 65. Therefore, it is even more impossible with him, or it slipped his tongue unintentionally. This guy's the best. Who is this? Al-Baghawi. This is Ibn Kathir's master or teacher. Okay. It slipped his tongue unintentionally due to forgetfulness, which is also rejected because such forgetfulness is not permissible for him while conveying revelation. If it were permissible, his word would be unreliable. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Dang. I think this is Al-Baghawi, you guys. Dude, that's super intense, man. يعني اوكي بحيث لا يقدر على الامتناع منه ومن ممتنع لأن الشيطان لا يقدر على ذلك في حق غيره. يقول تعالى إن عبادي ليس لك عليهم سلطان. Because the Quran says, Allah said to Satan, remember when Satan said to Allah, hey, Allah, you deceived me. You deceived me. Satan said to Allah, you deceived me. He's the best of deceivers, you guys. And so Satan said to Allah, hey, you tempted me and deceived me. And then Allah says to him, and then Satan says to Allah, you know what Satan says? He says, so I'm going to deceive them. I'm going to deceive Adam and Eve. And then Allah said to him, it says, you have no power over my servants. But you know what? He had power over Muhammad. He had power over Muhammad. He remote controlled his mouth to say Satan's words. Yapaye, yapaye. Yapaye, yapaye. This is how powerful Muslims are. Yeah, and look how powerful your prophet is. Look how powerful your prophet is. Okay. Let's go ahead and see what else. Oops, let me go ahead and finish this. Seems like I lost most of the people who were here, but it's okay. I'll continue. Surat al-Hajj. Okay, let's see this one. Okay, this is al-Zamashkhari. Zamashkhari. Okay. All right. Okay, this is kind of funny, man. I know we don't got that many people left, but it's worth looking at this. It says he began to recite it. When he reached the words and Manat the third, Satan cast into his wish, meaning he whispered to him that what he had wished for. Whoa, that's something I haven't thought about before. Satan said to Muhammad what Muhammad wanted to hear, and his tongue slipped in error and mistake. Leopold, how weak, how weak he must have been. Those are the exalted cranes, and indeed their intercession is hoped for. It was narrated that the cranes were present, but he did not realize it until the divine protection overtook him, and he became again the divine protection. It was also said that Gabriel alerted him. Okay, so again, we're seeing some of this, or perhaps Satan spoke of it and the people heard it. Satan spoke of it and the people heard. Did the people hear Satan himself? It was said when he prostrated at the end, all those in the assembly prostrated with him, and their hearts were at peace. Satan's enabling of this was a trial and tribulation from God, really increasing the hypocrite's doubt and darkness and the believer's light and certainty. Yah, that Muhammad was used by Satan. God enabled Satan to cast into their wishes. Wow. All right, you guys. Well, so there you have it. Islam City. If you want to come up, yeah, I know you're like a little schoolgirl. You're scared to death, and so you won't come up. I'm going to give you last opportunity if you want to come up. If you're brave, I know you're not. I know you're a wimp and you're scared. Okay. But if you want to come up, here's the link. And all right, you guys. Well, we made it an hour and a minute. And so, when I like to read some of these other scholars besides the usual ones. There was actually one called the Nesifi. And this guy, you know, some of the stuff that he says, you know, he sometimes comes up with stuff that's just amazing. And so I like to look at, and you know what? They are forced into this situation because of Muhammad, because of the stuff he did. And just to say, you guys, if Muhammad had lived in the days of Moses, he would have been stoned. Let me just show you. Let's look at Deuteronomy, I believe, 18. When you enter the land, the Lord your God, do not learn to imitate the detestable ways of the nations. Let none be found among you who practice son who does witchcraft or sorcery, or omens or witchcraft, or casts spells, or medium, or spiritist, or consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable. The nations you will dispossess who practice all these things. But as for you, the Lord your God has not permitted you to do so. Okay. You may say to yourself, how can we know when a message has been spoken by the Lord? If what a prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord does not take place or come true, that is a message the Lord has not spoken. That prophet has spoken presumptuously, so do not be alarmed. Okay, it talks about a prophet who presumes to speak in my name anything I have not commanded, or a prophet who speaks in the name of other gods is to be put to death. Had Muhammad been around in the days of Moses, he would not be a prophet like Moses. He would have been put to death because he spoke in the name of another god, Allah, and he blatantly said that Satan put words in his mouth. So that's Muhammad for you, you guys. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Something else. If the two beings took Satan's part out of Muhammad, how was he influenced by Satan later in life as a prophet? Maybe the part of Satan remained in him. True story, man. True story. So torn between two Satans. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for being with us. And if you haven't done it, please do it now. You too, Islam is your identity. You know, keep coming around. I guess nobody else wants to talk. You act so big on camera. Dude, I talked in front of I Am the Warner, and to the point that he didn't say he threatened to throw me off the pier. He did do that to an Armenian guy. He threatened to throw an Armenian guy off the pier. He didn't threaten to throw me off the pier, but he did threaten me that he was going to do something to me to where I wasn't going to be functional as a husband. He threatened me very Islamically with that Islamic spirit in him. And yeah, and he threatened me several times that day. It was just like, dude, is this even allowed? A threat in America is a crime. And so, but you're the coward. You're the coward because you won't even come up here and defend your God. You won't defend your Muhammad because, in all honesty, you can't, because everything all I did is read to you your books. All I did is read what your books say. And so there is no defense. So I don't blame you for being scared. I don't blame you for being scared. And if Islam is your identity, I pray that I pray, um, you know, Islam is growing in the world mostly because you control your women and you have lots of kids. You control your women, you have more than one wife. And especially in the Western world, you have four wives, but you pretend that you divorce them to where, because polygamy is not allowed in the West, but you keep them and you have their kids and you get state funding for each one of those kids. And so you just have big families, man. But the good news is that those precious kids, a lot of them are becoming Christians. Did you know that 25% of the Muslims who come to America become Christians? Did you know that 25% of the Muslims? I'm one of them. I'm one of those 25%, man. 25% of the Muslims who come to America become Christians. Praise God! Isn't that awesome? And so I hope that you will become one of us as well. Okay. Yeah. I know what you guys, it's disgusting what you're saying, man. You really are. You really are disgusting, man. So, yeah, and thank you, Truth Defender. Jesus said evil would grow on the last day, and Jesus did not say that. The Bible says those sinners join hand in hand, they shall not go unpunished. So when you're worshiping a fake god, doesn't matter if you're the biggest religion in the world. It doesn't matter if you're the biggest religion in the world. Still gonna go to hell. You know. Well, Islam is scary. That's why people, get scared, get panicked because Islam is scary. And it says bad things about Christians. It says bad things about Jews. It says bad things about people, non-Muslims, about women, about children. And so people do get scared. It is scary. So, I wish Islam wasn't so threatening and so scary. I wish, like you look at the Buddhists, nobody's scared of the Buddhists. The Hindus, nobody's scared of the Hindus. But Islam is different. Islam is, if your Muslim laws come to America, I'm a dead man. You're commanded to wipe us out, ex-Muslims. And so, I mean, not that I'm scared. I could care less. But there's some people who are really scared, and it's because Islam is scary. It's a scary religion. Okay? You're Muhammad, and you know what? That's a great point, Truth Defender. I just wanted to mention that today. That if Muhammad was punished under Sharia law for what he did, he committed adultery with Maria the Copt on his wife's bed. According to Islam, he's supposed to have been stoned for that. He was supposed to have been stoned for that. Muhammad stole the red underwear at that battle. He stole the red underwear, and we would have forgotten about it. We would have forgotten about it, except for the fact that it is mentioned in the Quran. The Quran mentions him stealing the red underwear. Okay? And because it's in the Quran, we have to talk about it. Well, you know what? According to Muhammad, there was a guy who stole an egg, and Muhammad had his hand cut off. Muhammad had his hand cut off for stealing an egg. What about valuable red underwear? What should have happened to Muhammad if he was under Sharia law? According to Islam, if you worship another god, there's no forgiveness. Yet Muhammad did it. What are you supposed to do? They're supposed to be killed. Muhammad is a murtad. He worshipped the goddesses Allat al-Azul Minat. He wasn't punished. So Muhammad did not live under Sharia. He applied it to everybody else, but not on himself. Because he would have lost his hand. He would have lost his life. But yeah, one rule for you. Pagan idols, drank wine, ate camel, stole red undies, etc. All of those things are very strictly punished under Sharia law. But Muhammad got away with it. So Anyway, but he didn't get away with nothing because he's suffering for it now. So, all right, you guys. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and end it. Thank you for being with us. And if you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Where did he say that, Truth Defender? Truth Defender always always says this stuff, and then it gets me. Hey, where did he say that, Muhammad? Muhammad. Truth Defender. Muhammad said, I have made Satan a partner with me and Allah. Really? Hey, you guys. By the way, you guys. Okay. Just so you know, Muhammad actually got revenge on Satan for what he did to him in the cave. Uh, hey, our brother Truth Defender. Hello, how are you, man?
Shalom, brother.
Shalom, how are you?
Good. I have to kind of explain where the reference comes from. So I wanted to come
Okay.
up because just to keep it brief. I know you
Okay,
gotta.
could you just give me 1 second to say this? I just want to say this one thing. I just saw this
Yep.
that Muhammad got revenge for what Satan did to him in the cave. Because remember how Satan choked him?
Yep.
Well, look what happened in this hadith, Sahih hadith. Muhammad offered prayer and said, Satan came out in front of me and tried to interrupt my prayer, but Allah gave me an upper hand on him and I choked him. So Muhammad got revenge from
He
Satan
covered.
for what
Oh
he
my
did
God!
to him in the cave. So
Wow. That's I've I think I've heard that before, but I it's been a while, so that's pretty
yeah.
funny.
Okay, so you were going to explain that.
Yeah. Let me see if I can quickly Satanic versus um export this file really quick just to be able to load it. Okay, and how do we do this? Let's see. Slides. Let's not do those. Your computer, uploaded file. See if it loads quickly. I kept it short. I have a lengthy presentation on Mohammed, Satanism, and the Satanic verses. We can maybe do a whole stream on that someday. Um,
Yeah, dude, please, man, when you have come up, man, because I know you have some amazing stuff, man. I'd love to see some of it.
yeah. So the question of the Satanic verses before the science of Hadith. um,
Science.
yeah, the so-called science of Hadith. There used to be universal acceptance of the narrations that were attributed to Muhammad. Um, these were called rawiyas, which is like sayings. Um, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they're called. Okay, I think it uploaded. So let's go up. It was that. Is that the first one? Yes, that's the first one. Let me see if I put the one that explains what a rawiya is. Ah, okay. Let's see. Okay, I didn't, but I'll explain it anyways. So, but first, I do want to mention this. Supposedly, according to Al Tabari in the history of Muhammad, which is a reference to the history of Muhammad, when Muhammad was a young boy, maybe just a toddler or very young age, under 10, supposedly these two beings appeared to him tossed him on the ground, opened his chest, washed his heart, and took out the part of Satan that Allah has created for every human being. That black clot, whatever it was, is supposed to allow Satan to influence human beings. So these angelic beings, supposedly, or whatever they were, took the black part or the part of Satan out of Muhammad. So supposedly Muhammad was not supposed to be influenced by Satan after that. He's now protected from Satan because of the removal of this clot, this black thing. It was taken out of him and tossed aside. So this leads us to the question, well, then how is it that Muhammad was influenced by Satan later on in life, and especially as a so-called prophet, if the black clot was taken out of him? So that's a big problem, a contradiction there. So this is what this narration explains here. Here's another reference that deals with it. This is in a Sirah literature of the beloved prophet Muhammad. This is a Sirah literature, and it speaks of the black spot that was removed from the heart of the prophet when his chest was split open in his childhood, and the angel saying, "It is Shaitan's portion," which influences people. That was the black spot of that Allah had created. So Allah had put this black spot in Muhammad. Then there's another narration. Let's see here. Okay, no, that was it. I have another one, but I didn't put it up because I was trying to be brief. So then we have Muhammad later in life as a so-called prophet, and you quoted this reference that he had a Satan that influenced him. Well, that shouldn't be able to happen if the black spot was removed from him. Then we also have Muhammad's companions also were influenced by Satan's, so they weren't protected from that. Here, I'm going to just get to the point here. This is the narration, and it's in the book Before Orthodoxy, where it is recorded that Muhammad, when he was standing at the door of the Kaaba, some narrations say that he was sitting, some say he was standing, but nonetheless, he was at the door of the Kaaba, and he had been, you mentioned this, desiring some way to reconcile with the pagans, his tribe of pagans. And it wasn't Allah that answered his prayer, it was Satan who gave him the prayer to worship the pagan idols, Allat, Al-Uzza, and Manat. So remember, Muhammad is praying to Allah for some kind of a reconciliatory situation, and Allah ignores him, but Satan answers him. And it is Satan who answered Muhammad's prayer, gave him the words, threw them into his mouth, his heart, to say, "Have you now considered Allat, Al-Uzza, and Manat the third?" And the pagans rejoiced. They celebrated with Muhammad. They bowed down in worship, all of them together prostrated, both Muhammad and the pagans, in the worship not only of Allah, but of the pagan deities. And they celebrated and said, Muhammad has returned to the religion of his fathers, meaning paganism. So he became a murtad, Habibi, at that point. He left his Islam and became one with the pagans again, back to his the religion of his lineage, of his family. They celebrated, picked him up, and paraded him around like some kind of football player that scored a touchdown. It says that they ran him around the Kaaba from one end to the other. Let's see if it has it here. Maybe it's the next slide. Let's see. Okay, here. Yeah, so here it says in the commentary section, Muhammad recites the words from Satan. This is just narrating the riwayah. This is number 8. And again, a riwayah was a universally accepted narration or saying concerning Muhammad. It was like a hadith before they were called hadiths. It was a narration, a saying, and there was no science of hadith at the time to determine its credibility. It was simply universally accepted as sahih at the time. The question of the sahih or or lesser grades, da'if or whatnot, that came later. So this is universal. This is within the first, second, and third centuries of Islam, where these things were universal within the Islamic narrative. They did not doubt it or question it. So this thing about Muhammad, and I'm going to go down to the content summary. Muhammad recited the words of Satan. The people rejoiced that Muhammad had returned to polytheism. The satanic verses spread to Abyssinia. Jibril came and corrected him. Muhammad said, I have obeyed Satan and spoken his words, and he has become a partner. I can't see that clearly on my screen. Let me see.
Allah's matter with me.
Yes, I have become a partner in Allah's matter with me.
He has become a partner
He has
in
become.
Allah's matter.
Yep, meaning Satan. So now you have the Islamic satanic trinity. You have Allah, Muhammad, and Shaitan partners. That's wild. And this is an early Islamic narrative without question, universally accepted as truth. And I think that was, let's see here. Yep, here it is, Rawiya number 8. I have obeyed Satan and spoken his words, and he has become a partner in Allah's matter with me. And then there's other narrations.
That up again?
Which one?
That Rawaya? Okay, yeah. Because I want to take a screenshot of that. Now, do you know what book that would be in?
That is in, well, it's the collection of these sayings. So I'll send it to you. I'll send you all that info. But it's in the collection of the Rawiyas. These are basically hadith narrations, collections. And this is number 8 that is in the list, and there's a whole bunch of them. And it's in the commentary referencing the situation that took place. For instance, I think I have it here. This is the dates of the situation. The first revelation, the migration to Abyssinia, the year of sorrow, such and so forth. People can freeze the screen later and look at these. And these are the things that took place when Muhammad was given the revelation, when the satanic verses were revealed, such and so forth. So it's in the book by who is it? Schwab. Let's see, what is his name? Here it is. Okay, I have to go up on another slide, but I won't upload it because it's too lengthy. It's called the Satanic Verses, and it mentions all 50.
Inside.
Yeah, so where is it? Where is it? I have too many slides, Hussein. Here it is. Okay. So it is Before Orthodoxy, the Satanic Verses in Early Islam by Shahab Ahmad.
Okay.
Copy. Let me put that in the chat so people can look that book up and get it if they'd like. Right there, and there it is in the chat. So now people can look it up. So yeah, so Muhammad at one point, when the satanic verses were revealed, did say that he had become a partner. And remember, what is shirk? What is the ultimate shirk? To attribute partners.
You'll see partners. What a partner.
Oh boy, what a partner indeed. So Muhammad picked the most wicked being in creation to make himself a partner with concerning Allah in his matters. That is wild. And there's no way to diminish the narration to da'if or whatnot. It didn't get questioned until later because they realized it was a problem. So they had to start inventing ways to dismiss it. But the early Muslim scholars and supposed the first generations of Muslims did not question this as being a true narrative, a real historical event that took place. That is serious. So I just wanted to present that, brother, to show that Muhammad did become at one point a murtad.
I was thinking today, I was really thinking about this today earlier. In fact, I wanted to do the live stream about this, is what if Sharia law was applied to Muhammad? He would have been, you know, killed for adultery. He would have had his hand cut off for stealing the red underwear. He would have had, been ostracized for being a marted. And it's like, all these laws that he put on foisted on everybody, and yet he himself was never punished by any of it. Instead, he gets verses from Allah to comfort him, and say, "Oh, everybody did that. You're not the first." So,
Yeah, and especially since he appealed to the Torah, to the law of Moses, and then he broke all 10 of the commandments. How does he justify that? He's guilty of violating all 10 of the commandments.
man, and please, if you could just maybe do a thing with like 20 slides or something like that. I would love for you to come up and do this, to go more in depth on this, because
Okay, because it's got 694 slides on that subject.
can you whittle it down to 600 and just 600? No,
It's I need to condense things for people so I can hand them out. But
no, if it would be really great. We could even do like Satanic versus week, a
hey,
week,
that would probably work. Yeah.
and just do like 5 or 6 different episodes about it. I would love to do that, man. And if you could do that, I think, dude, God didn't give you all of this just to hide it, and, well, I know you're not hiding it, but,
Well, what I'll do is I'll condense it because some of it is redundant as far as because for some reason I have this habit of finding all the references of the one thing and putting them all in. So it's like it would suffice to just give one reference that talks about it and maybe as a footnote put the references to the other places and not have to mention every one of the places.
be
So
awesome.
that'll condense it. So I'll do that. Give me a little bit of time and then I'll hit you up on it and
Not
we
too
can
long
present it.
though. Not too long.
Okay.
Okay, because they're going to rebuild the temple in a few weeks, and then the rapture happens, and it's too late. So
Okay.
please try to get this done first.
Okay. All right, brother. Have a blessed night.
Thank you so much, man. That was awesome.
All right. God
Appreciate that.
bless. And God bless folks in the chat.
Hey, God bless you all. Wow. I tell you, when I had a TV show, he used to come on. I used to bring him onto my TV show, and he would just blow everyone away he's got so much information. Just he reads, he's got one of those minds, the reader type mind. I'm not like that, which is really bad. I'm kind of like the interviewer. I'm more the interviewer than I am the main attraction type person. And but he's the main attraction type. He gets these topics and with details that's just amazing. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for being with us. I hope I haven't said anything wrong. I'm concerned sometimes when I start talking too much, sometimes I say wrong things. I hope I didn't say nothing wrong. Forgive me if I did. And thank you, everybody, for being with us. And if you haven't done it, Jesus help me, Jesus forgive me, Jesus come into my heart, Jesus help me, Jesus forgive me, Jesus come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني, يسوع سامحني, يسوع ادخل قلبي. We love you, but much more importantly, he loves you. Have a great night.